The bus stopped in a quiet street. The air was cold, and the trees moved gently in the wind. Emma stepped off the bus, pulling her suitcase behind her. She looked at the big, old house in front of her. It was tall, dark, and made of wood. The windows were big and dusty, and the house looked very old. Emma walked to the front door. Before she could knock, the door opened slowly. A woman with gray hair stood there. "You must be Emma," the woman said. Her voice was low and serious. "Yes." "Are you Mrs. Holloway?" The woman nodded and gave a small smile. "Come inside, dear." Emma stepped inside. The house smelled like wood and old books. The furniture was old, and the walls had pictures of serious-looking people. Mrs. Holloway pointed to the stairs. "Your room is upstairs, second door on the right. Don't go into the other rooms. They are just storage." Emma felt a little nervous, but nodded. She went upstairs and entered her room. The room was small but cozy. There was a bed, a wooden desk, and a big window with heavy curtains. That night, she went to bed early. She was very tired from the trip, but in the middle of the night, she woke up suddenly. A whispering sound came from the walls. She held her breath, trying to listen. It was soft and distant, but it sounded like words. Maybe it was just the wind. Emma pulled the blanket over her head and tried to sleep, but then she heard it clearly. "Help." The next morning, Emma woke up with a strange feeling. The whisper she had heard during the night still echoed in her mind. "Help." She sat up in bed, listening carefully. Nothing. Only the distant ticking of a clock somewhere in the house. Maybe she had imagined it. Downstairs, Mrs. Holloway was making tea. The scent of herbs filled the kitchen. "Did you sleep well, dear?" she asked with a small smile. Emma hesitated before answering. "Yes, but I think I heard something last night." Mrs. Holloway's smile didn't fade, but her eyes darkened slightly. "Old houses make noises at night," she said, stirring her tea. "You'll get used to it." Emma nodded, but something about the woman's tone unsettled her. That night, she made sure to leave a small notebook and pen on her nightstand before going to sleep. And at exactly 2:17 a.m., she woke up again. The whispering was clearer this time. A soft, desperate voice. Words formed in the darkness. "Find the key." Emma grabbed her notebook and scribbled the phrase down. Not safe at night. Her breath caught in her throat. She listened carefully, her pulse pounding. The whispers faded, leaving behind an eerie silence. Emma stared at her notebook, reading the words over and over. What key? What wasn't safe at night? She shivered and pulled the blankets up to her chin, but sleep refused to come. Somehow she knew this wasn't just a dream. Something, or someone, was trying to tell her something, and she needed to understand. The next day, Emma couldn't stop thinking about the whispers. She needed to find out more. After lunch, she decided to explore the house. Mrs. Holloway was outside, tending to the garden, so Emma walked quietly into the library. The room was full of old books. The wooden shelves stretched to the ceiling. Dust floated in the air as she ran her fingers over the spines of the books. Then, something caught her eye. A small leather notebook, hidden between two thick books. It looked very old. On the cover, a name was written, Abigail Turner. Emma's heart raced. She opened the notebook carefully. Some pages were missing, but she could still read a few sentences. She watches me. I must find the key before it's too late. Emma swallowed hard. The key. The same word she had heard in the whispers. She turned another page, but it was blank. Disappointed, she put the diary in her pocket. Maybe she could find more clues later. As she left the library, she saw Mrs. Holloway watching her from the hallway. Emma froze. "Did you find something interesting, dear?" Mrs. Holloway's voice was calm, but her eyes were sharp. Emma forced a smile. "Just some old books." Mrs. Holloway nodded slowly. Emma hurried back to her room, clutching the diary tightly. She was sure now something terrible had happened in this house. That night, Emma could not sleep. The whispers had said, "Find the key." The diary had written the same words. Abigail had been searching for something. At exactly 2:17 a.m., the whispering returned. This time, the voice was clearer. "Look under the floor." Emma sat up quickly. Under the floor? She turned on her bedside lamp and looked around. The wooden floor was covered by a large, old rug. Heart pounding, she got out of bed and pulled the rug away. Some of the wooden planks looked different. She pressed on them, and one of them moved. Emma lifted the loose plank and gasped. Inside the small space was an old, rusty key. Her fingers trembled as she picked it up. The metal was cold against her skin. She sat on the floor, staring at the key. Why had Abigail hidden it? And what did it open? Before she could think more, the whisper came again. This time, it was almost urgent. "The red door." Emma frowned. A red door. She had never seen one in the house. But she knew one thing. The whispers were leading her somewhere, and she had to follow. Emma searched the house the next day, looking for a red door, but there was none. She thought about the basement. She had not checked it before. The door to the basement was old and heavy. It creaked as she opened it. The air inside was cold and dusty. She walked down slowly, her heart beating fast. At the bottom of the stairs, she froze. On the far wall, there were old red marks, like paint, almost completely faded. Emma stepped closer. She touched the wood, and her fingers felt something. A keyhole. She took out the rusty key she found under the floor. Her hand shook as she put it in the keyhole. The key turned easily. With a deep breath, Emma pushed the wall, and it opened like a door. Inside was a small, dark room. A broken mirror hung on the wall. An old baby crib stood in the corner. A tiny white dress was hanging from a nail. Emma felt cold all over. This room had been locked away for years. And suddenly, she felt something behind her. A shadow moved in the darkness. She wasn't alone. Emma turned quickly, but no one was there. She saw a stack of old newspapers on a small wooden table. She picked one up. The headline read, "Young girl Abigail Turner mysteriously disappears." Emma's hand shook as she looked at the photo in the newspaper. A small girl with dark eyes. Next to her, a young woman, Mrs. Holloway. Emma gasped. She looked at another paper. It told the same story. Abigail had lived in this house. Then one day, she was gone. Emma's stomach twisted. She now understood. The whispers, the diary, the key. Abigail had been trying to tell her something. A creaking sound came from behind. Emma turned. Mrs. Holloway stood at the basement door, watching her. She held a newspaper in her hand. "You shouldn't have come here, dear," she said. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were cold. Emma ran past Mrs. Holloway, up the stairs. Mrs. Holloway tried to grab her, but Emma was faster. She ran out of the house and into the street. The police arrived quickly. When the officers searched the basement, they found something terrible. Mrs. Holloway was taken away. She didn't fight or scream. She just smiled. Days later, Emma returned to the house one last time to get her things. She walked upstairs, feeling strange. The house was empty and silent. In her room, she saw the old mirror hanging on the wall. Something was written in the dust on the glass. A message. "Thank you, but I'm still here." Emma felt a cold shiver run down her spine. Had she really helped Abigail, or was the girl still trapped in this house? She didn't wait to find out. Emma grabbed her suitcase and left without looking back. The end. If you liked this story, please like, subscribe, and share. See you in our next video.